Okay, so it's 2015, right? And I was just talking to my good friend, the doc, and he's not telling me where my hoverboards are. Yeah, well, we don't have an answer. Hey guys, so hoverboards aside, one of the actual cool technologies that we have today that is actually becoming a whole lot more mainstream, well, maybe not mainstream, but more supported and adopted by today's PC enthusiast community is going to be some of that water cooling. So I got another installation guide for you guys, but this time we're going to be doing it with my video card. We have MSI's gaming 6G video card. This is the 980 Ti, and we're going to be putting a water cooling block on here so I can integrate it into my water loop on my computer and have that performance that only liquid can provide. But before we start the installation guide, I feel I may have to explain this sort of push broom that I have going on here for you. And all I have to say is that I am actually participating in a charity drive where we established November as Movember, and that's pretty much just mustache November. This is sort of like a visual representation of our charity for men's health, covering mainly prostate cancer. So if you guys are sort of wondering, with my videos in November, not October, November, featuring this stash, now you know. Okay, so intro formalities aside, I mustache you. I hope that doesn't last all month. But I must ask you to bring your attention to the workstation that I have going on here. Like I did with my previous block assembly, I have everything all taken out of their bags. I have all the screws located in my nice nifty magnetic parts tray, along with all their little rubber washers in here. I have my thermal pads, my thermal compound included, my water block, video card set up on a box. This is the box that the block came in, so the EK box. This works well as an anti-static station for working on. And for tools, well, I guess kind of tools, but we have a microfiber cloth and some Q-tips with isopropyl alcohol. 91% works really well with this. But that is going to be removing the existing thermal compound that is already installed on our graphics card. And then we also have scissors and Phillips head screwdriver. That's all that we need today. So let's get this show on the road. So step 1 for graphics card disassembly, we're going to start by removing some screws so we can get this stock cooler off. We're going to get these screws off first, and these are often the ones that everyone misses, and these are the ones attached to our interface, the rear interface on the graphics card. Okay, so screws set off to the side here. Now we're going to start by removing just these 4 screws. And I must bring your attention to this little white sticker on this screw right here. What you're reading there is it's basically saying, should you remove your stock cooler on your MSI graphics card, you are voiding your warranty. So I guess that's a warning to people. And they really made it so you have to tear up the sticker so you can't just place it back on there. But we're rebels. We'll remove it anyways. It's like those tags that they have on mattresses. Do not remove under penalty of law. Mattress police will get you. And hopefully that should remove our stock cooler here. Now when we remove this, it's going to be a little sticky here because it has pre-installed thermal compound. But something you gotta make sure when you're removing this is to unplug this cable here. And that is the cable controlling the fans on your aftermarket cooler here. Oh, whoop. And there's the other cable right there. That one's probably just going to be controlling the LED on the side of your cooler. So there it is. Some of the bare bones of it right here. We're going to be removing this stuff. Power delivery. That is just some of the I can't find the words for it. Thermal padding. There we go. Got it. That is transferring the heat from your power delivery service. That's what these are, your MOSFETs, to your heatsink, so that it can efficiently dissipate all the heat. Now, before I start removing any of the other screws, I'm actually going to take care of some of this thermal goop that's on here right now, so as to not make a mess when I flip the card over and remove more screws. So I'm just going to apply a liberal amount here to my cloth, my microfiber cloth. You don't want to use anything like paper towels or stuff like that, because that stuff will leave fibrous remains on your chip, and that's not something that you want, especially on microarchitecture like this. Alrighty then, nasty thermal paste removed. Now we get to move on to the other screws. And one reason that I like to use this EK box here is it provides a little bit of clearance so that this rear I/O shield right here, or not I/O, rear shield, this is just the rear I/O, does not actually come in contact with my desk, so I can actually still keep it suspended on the box, keeping my working surface level, which really helps. So now we get to remove, oops, that's not working. Now we get to remove all the other screws on our back plate here. Screw montage maybe. And that's the last one. Alright. So now we're just going to remove this back plate here, screws and all. Hopefully. There we go. Screws and all. Set that off to the side real fast. Give this a flip over. Now we're going to start removing other pieces of our board here. As we can see, we have even more of these little thermal pads. This is actually going to be pretty much exactly what the bottom of your water block is going to look like eventually, once we get everything else installed. So again, setting all this stuff off to the side in a nice safe place. And I'm pretty sure this comes removed as well, maybe not. And it doesn't look like it. Oh, there it goes. Alright, so we have even more thermal padding over here. Alright. Bare graphics card. Check. Waterblock. Also check. Now we get to move on to the next step. And the next step, I already kind of jumped ahead on you guys here. We're going to be applying the thermal pads to all of our VRMs here. And for those we're going to be using, whoops, dropped it. For those we're going to be using the pre-cut ones. So those pads that we already have that are cut up. And I guess a tip for installing these is to remove that blue foil from one side, and that is going to be actually our non-sticky side. So remove the blue foil from one side for however many you need, And then we're just going to take this off the clear side, and the clear side reveals the sticky side. So we're going to put that sticky side down so that it stays on these VRMs for us. So we're just going to set them up like so. They don't really have to be perfect, but you want to make sure that the entire VRM is covered, like so. And something also that I forgot to mention, but I took the thermal padding that was on our little circuits here before, and I went ahead and I reinstalled it. I checked the clearance, and this actually does fit underneath our monoblock here, and is going to help transfer some heat up to the plexi section that we have right here on our monoblock, so as to provide some cooling here. I wasn't quite comfortable with letting it sit in this channel uncooled in any fashion. And now we're just going to get these unstuck. We're going to utilize our scissors here. Oh my god, I'm making a mess. Utilize our scissors here, and we're going to start covering these little black chips that we have right here on the side of our power. Actually, I think this is all just the power delivery service, and I'm just going to eyeball this, make a little measurement cut there, then do the full cut, and then I'm going to measure out all the way down here, cover up the rest of these chips. This is going to be a bit more of a mental measurement here. And snip. And then since we don't need anything really that thick, I'm just going to go ahead and cut this down the middle. There we go. Now let's get all this stuff installed. And so we have these strips installed, and to cover my bases and to make sure everything gets equally cooled, I also cut this strip that I used right here, this long vertical strip. I used that, and I cut that into some even smaller strips to cover these little black chips that you have next to it as well. And I didn't want to leave this one left out, so I covered that one. And what can't go without a little extra cooling, so this will make sure that these also come in contact with our block and cool those units as well. And like I said, a little extra cooling never really hurt. Next step is going to be applying this thermal compound that we have here to our actual chip. And the instructions is going to point out that the best way to do this is to do some thin applications and a star pattern across your GPU here. This is the actual chip that is doing all the work on your board. Oh, and it just kind of shoots out there. So I'm going to just follow the exact instructions here and do that star pattern. And that seems like a lot of thermal paste, because that actually kind of is. You can actually go a little lighter on the thermal paste there, but I'm just going to leave it like that. And now we're going to be installing our water block. Now, keep in mind, when you're setting this down, you're also going to be spreading around whatever this thermal paste. If you don't set it down correct, or set it down perfectly on your first try here. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to take this screw hole right here, and I'm going to be lining up with this hole right here. And that's going to give me just a bit of a rough estimation that I'm actually setting this down in the correct manner. So I'm just going to do this here. And I'm going to be viewing this from the side. The top-down perspective isn't going to work really well with this. I'm just going to hang it over the edge a little bit so it actually There. Actually sits down all the way. Alright. Now it is going to wiggle a little bit, and that's going to be from your grease that you applied to your GPU. Now we're just going to grip it, and we're going to flip it over carefully so we can begin installing screws. And at this point is when you can do your final alignment. Sorry if I'm in frame here. There we go. You can do your final alignment for all your screw holes so you can get all these properly installed, like so. And we're just going to take our screws provided by EK, and we're going to install these 4 GPU screws initially, and then hopefully we can keep our back plate and install those screws as well. Alright, so I have our 4 screws installed around our GPU here, and I did that by tightening it in a sort of star pattern here, and then from there, remembering to apply our plastic washers that we have, I also applied a screw here, 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 and here. And I tighten those in that order. Even the instructions say you should work your way out to the outside of the board. So like I said, I started from here, went to that one, and that one, or that one, doesn't matter. But those are all the screws installed. Now time for the bad news. With these screws installed, you cannot use your fancy backplate that came with your GPU. It just won't do. And the screws will not fit through these pre-built or through these pre-drilled holes on your backplate. So you can pony up the extra money and buy the backplate from EK that they have, or you can do what I'm going to do, make this backplate irreversibly modified, and take a small drill bit and slowly expand these holes to accommodate these screws, and use some of the longer screws that EK provided and install it using the backplate as well, because I really like this dragon that they have on this backplate, and it still keeps the branding that this is a MSI graphics card. So do with that what you will, but I'm going to be doing a little bit of modifications to this backplate. But let's get this thrown into the loop now. So luckily I had a little bit of forethought in my water cooling loop, and I installed some quick release fittings so as I can disconnect and reconnect as I get new pieces. Don't allow your cats within your water cooling projects, as you may get fur in some unneeded components and dust as well. So let that be a warning to you. Unfortunately though, I don't entirely trust my quick disconnects, so that is why the big gulp is right there, hopefully to catch some water and it doesn't end up all over my power supply. So let's see how this goes, and if this fails, luckily I have it all on camera. And it looks like it's failing. So let's try this again. There it goes. Sealed, but oh, now it's leaking out the other end. Great. Well, like I said, you may have quick disconnects, but you really got to take precaution with these. Like, you're not exactly sure if they're going to seal all the time. I was certainly hoping mine would, but it doesn't look like that's the case. Alright, so now it's conclusion time, and I get to throw some of those numbers at you now. The Twin Frozer, which is MSI's air cooling system that they pre-install onto their 980 Ti, that was running
on the Heaven benchmark here, 77 degrees Celsius. That is within a close case, you know, the natural habitat for a graphics card. And now on liquid, I am getting an even number of 50 to 51 degrees, and I have been running the Heaven benchmark here for a good 15 minutes. So that has caused the entire loop of my system to get up to a stable temperature. So we're looking from 77 with that air cooler. Now don't get me wrong, that twin frozer is a fantastic, but it is a great air cooler, and you just can't really compare to a liquid cooler though at the efficiency that it will pull the heat away from the GPU and just throw it out to a radiator where it gets blown all over the room and heats up your room. So is it worth it in terms of temperature? Now, I'm sure if you look at it in the dollar performance wise, it probably is not all that good. But if you're looking to overclock your card like I do, yeah, I tend to overclock my everything. When you're overclocking, you can't find a better cooling system or mainstream cooling system, because you can go like LN2 or phase change and stuff like that, and that's awesome. Hi. And that stuff works out fantastic. But better than air cooling, you're going to find the liquid cooling will do the job. So, in conclusion, water cooling's awesome. Well, I'm going to sign off for you guys. I gotta feed my cat here. Use those buttons that the great YouTube gave us. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Maybe just leave a comment if you want to see me drill out those holes on the back plate, so maybe you guys can try it yourself someday. Or not. Well, this has been Rick with Gigahertz TV, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.
But I guess before I throw this in there, I'm going to show you guys just what the card will look like with the nickel and plexi version of the Waterblock. Now you can get the acetal version. The acetal version is just going to be all black, so you're not going to see the channels or any of the dyed liquid if you have it running through your Waterblock. The acetal version is just, like I said, going to be all black, but it's also going to cover the entirety of your video card here. So this one is a little smaller, but is more for showcase type pieces like what this is going to be for.